All right, so doing order of operations. All right, we're moving on to a new unit. Order of operations is something that you have definitely done in elementary school before. Gonna be a little bit, I don't know if harder is the right word, but a little bit more to it now that you're in middle school. You probably remember your teachers saying PEMDAS or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. We're still going to use that this year, obviously, because you see it right here. But if you'll notice, I put my letters on top of each other like this. I got the P and the E regular. Then I've got the M and the D on top of each other and the A and the S on top of each other. And the reason we do that is because these two are always first. Okay, you got to do these two things before you can come to these. But when you get to this step right here, if you're looking at the problem and division comes before multiplication, you have to do the division first. Okay, so these are stacked like this because I want you to know that multiplication doesn't have to come first. And I know you're probably thinking that's not at all what my elementary teacher told me. And you're probably right, it's not what she told you. But in elementary school, they made sure that you did problems that worked out like they were supposed to. In middle school, we're just going to throw something at you and you got to make it work. Okay, so with multiplication and division, whichever one you come to first when you're doing the problem, that's the one you do first. Okay, so if division comes before multiplication, do the division, get that done, then go on and do the multiplication. Okay, so when you're going from left to right, so when you're solving a problem left to right, do whichever one comes first and then move on to the next one. Same thing for addition and subtraction. They're always going to be the last two things you do. Everything else right here should already be done before you get to addition and subtraction. But it's the same thing here. Yes, S is the last letter of PEMDAS, but it really could be A. Because if you're doing a problem and you get to subtraction before you get to addition, you have to do that subtraction first. Okay, so I stacked these because I didn't want to put the M first, thinking that multiplication always comes first. It really could be PE, DM, SA if it wanted to be. Okay, so these right here, you need to do whichever one comes first in the problem. We're going to do plenty of examples so that you hopefully understand what I'm saying. If you don't remember, P stands for parentheses, E stands for exponent, M is multiply, D is divide, A is subtract, A is addition, S is subtraction. Okay, just a little refresher. So let's go ahead and jump into some examples. And I'm going to start them over here just so that we have plenty of room. All right, so first example. 8 plus 1 times 12 minus 5. All right, let's start with our first letter, P. P stands for parentheses. Do I have any parentheses going on in this problem? Hopefully you're screaming at me that yes, I do. It is right here, okay? It doesn't matter that it's addition. Yes, you have to do multiplication before you can do addition. But the reason I'm doing this first is because it's got parentheses. It's not because it comes first in the problem. It's because it's got parentheses. You have to do parentheses first, okay? So what is 8 plus 1? 8 plus 1 is 9. So now I'm going to leave everything else the same and just rewrite it, okay? So now I've got multiplication and I've got subtraction. So I've done the P. I don't have any exponents. So now I'm here, multiplication and division. I have to do these two before I can move on. So multiplication and division, do I have any of that in my problem? And yes, I do, right here, 9 times 12. 9 times 12 is 108. 108 minus 5 is obviously my last step, which is 103. All right, so you just take it one step at a time. All right, let's do the next one. Let's see. 16 divided by 2 plus 8 times 3. Okay, start with P. Do I have any parentheses? No, I do not. Go on to E. Do I have any exponents? No, I do not. Next section is M and D. I've got multiplication and division going on in this problem, okay? But which one comes first? if you're moving from left to right, which one do you get to first? I get to the division first. So I have to do that one first. All right, so what is 16 divided by 2? 16 divided by 2 is 8. Rewrite everything else the same. Okay, so I've got addition and subtraction left. Well, according to PEMDAS, I have to do my multiplication division before I can move on to my addition and subtraction. So I have to do this next. It doesn't matter that it's at the end. I have to do it next because you have to finish M and D before you can move on to A and S. So leave this 8 plus right here. 8 times 3 is 24. And now I just solve 8 plus 24, and I get 32. Try another one. 30 divided by 21 minus 6 times 4. All right, P is first. Do I have any parentheses? Yes, I do. So this is what I have to solve first because it's my first letter. So leave everything else the same. 21 minus 6 is 15. Okay. I don't have any exponents. Multiplication, division. I've got both of those left. I don't do the multiplication first because M comes first. Remember, these are interchangeable. You can do either one of these. You have to do whichever one of them comes first in the problem. And obviously, when I'm doing this problem, the first thing I get to is division. So 30 divided by 15 is 2. Then I just have to do 2 times 4, which is 8. All right, keep it moving. Let's see, let's do 100 divided by 5 to the second power times 4 to the third power. All right. So my exponents, I don't have any parentheses, so I got to do my exponents first, okay? So I got to do this exponent and this exponent. So let's leave the 100 alone for right now. 100 divided by, remember, this is not 5 times 2. It is 5 times 5. We're going to write that so that you don't forget. So this is 5 times 5. This one is 4 times 4 times 4. All right, so 5 times 5 is 25. Leave your times sign. 4 to the third power, it's going to be 64. Because remember, 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. All right, so I don't have any more exponents to do. Now I'm on to the multiplication and division spot. I've got both of them left, but which one do you get to first? I get to this one first. So what is 100 divided by 25? And that would be 4. 4 times 64 is all you have left. And 4 times 64 gives you 256. All right, what if you have a decimal? What if you have 2 5/10 plus 3 7/10 times 6 25/100? All right, so this one looks pretty short. All right, so I don't have any parentheses. I don't have any exponents. So I'm on to multiplication and division. I've got some multiplication, so I have to do that first before I can do my addition, okay? So I got to do 6.25 times 3.7, and I get 23. Let me write it. So wrong color. You might not be able to tell, but I can. 2 5/10 plus 23 125 thousandths. All right, I've done these ahead of time. You would obviously need to multiply this out because I don't want you using a calculator. So you would multiply that out and get the answer. Now we would just need to do my last step, which is adding them together. And when you add these together, you get 25.625. I had to make sure I had the right color. So even if it's decimals or fractions, you still follow the same rules. Don't do anything different. Still do PEMDAS. All right, let's do one more. Let's do, let's do this one. 48 divided by 2 to the third power plus 25 times 9 minus 7. A lot going on in this one. All right, take it one letter at a time. P, do I have any parentheses? Yes, right here. Doesn't matter that it's the very last thing listed. You still have to do it first because it's parentheses. So let's rewrite everything else. Leave it exactly the same. 9 minus 7 is 2. Okay? So no more parentheses. So I move on to the E. Do I have any exponents? Yes, I do. Right here. Remember, this is not 6. You're not doing 2 times 3. You're doing 2 times 2 times 2. All right, so that would leave you with 8. Leave everything else the same. All right. Don't have any more exponents, so I move on to M and D. I've got both of them, but which one do I get to first? I get to my division first, so that's what I'm going to do. 48 divided by 8 is 6. Addition and multiplication. You have to do your multiplication before you can do your addition. 25 times 2 is 50. So now 6 plus 50 is going to leave you with 56. All right, so make sure you're following your letters in the right order. Make sure you're doing all your multiplication and division before you do the last steps of addition and subtraction.